This conversation between Aubrey Marcus and Teal Swan delves deeply into the dynamics of trust, power, containment, and emotional interplay between men and women. It explores the challenges and opportunities around masculine leadership, feminine needs for safety, relational patterns, and the modern cultural shifts affecting male-female relationships. The dialogue also touches on sexuality, emotional authenticity, healing through alternative relational structures, and the evolving roles of masculinity and femininity in society. Teal begins by emphasizing a fundamental aspect often misunderstood in society: women's profound need for masculine containment. Women operate from a baseline of unsafety, physically, emotionally, and mentally. The men who succeed best with women are those who proactively address this unsafety, creating a protective, energetic space that allows women to relax into their feminine expressions. This containment is not merely physical protection, but extends deeply into emotional and mental domains, preserving a woman's peace and well-being. Men who provide this create a supportive environment in which feminine qualities can genuinely flourish, meeting a critical human need for relational balance. An important point raised is the widespread misconception that women should lead relationships. Teal and Aubrey assert that traditionally and healthily, the male should provide leadership, structure, direction, and initiative. The male role in relationships involves holding space and responsibility for the well-being of those in his care. Historically, this was well understood until societal shifts, like the Industrial Revolution, diluted this framework. When men embrace positive ownership and responsibility, relationships benefit tremendously. When they fail to do so, social and relational dysfunction arise. Teal introduces the concept of positive ownership, which challenges the toxic paradigm of objectifying women. Positive ownership requires a man to view a woman or anyone in his care as part of himself, so that harming her ultimately harms him. This ownership is inclusive of free will and personal autonomy, recognizing that true containment respects individuality rather than restricting it. The failure to embody positive ownership historically has contributed to the women's rights movement and ongoing cultural shifts, revealing the damage done when men treat women as objects rather than integral beings. A critical aspect of masculine containment involves attunement, the capacity to deeply understand and perceive a woman's internal states, needs, and feelings. Teal highlights a major gap where most men fail, not from lack of love, but from insufficient understanding. Men often do not invest enough energy into truly comprehending the complexities of the women in their lives, making it difficult to respond appropriately to their emotional cues. True containment includes responsiveness to these cues, which often go beyond overt statements and require sensitivity to tone, body language, and underlying meaning. With ownership and attunement comes responsibility. Men must take genuine responsibility for the well-being of their partners, particularly in today's culture that increasingly promotes individualism at the expense of collective responsibility. Availability is also paramount. Women need to feel that the men in their lives are accessible and present. This availability nurtures autonomy paradoxically. Secure relationships allow for greater freedom because the partner knows they have a reliable container to return to. The conversation turns toward the modern phenomenon of powerful women embodying masculine qualities due to societal pressures and a lack of feminine empowerment templates. Many powerful women unconsciously adopt masculine attributes to succeed in a world built by men, and consequently find themselves with partners who reflect more feminine traits. This dynamic creates confusion and dissatisfaction because the feminine often desires a king, but when women step into the masculine, their partners may not fit that role authentically. This illustrates a broader societal absence of templates for feminine power that can exist independently of masculine expression. Aubrey reflects on stepping into fatherhood and the archetypal qualities it embodies: protection, containment, guidance, and justice. The absence of healthy father figures has societal consequences, leading sometimes to the rise of authoritarian, devouring mother archetypes represented by the state. The return to a healthy expression of the father archetype is seen as essential to repair society and restore balance, indicating that men must reclaim this role not only personally but culturally and collectively. Teal stresses the urgent need for men to hold each other accountable, particularly in how they exercise power and treat women. Historically, men's accountability has been inconsistent, strong when it comes to physical abuse, but lacking around subtler emotional wounds like infidelity. This deficit contributes to mistrust and further fractures male-female relationships. Healing requires an increased communal standard that supports men in positive masculinity and confronts abusive or negligent behavior transparently. A significant barrier to masculine containment is men's disconnection from their own emotions, a product of cultural conditioning intensified by historical processes like the Industrial Revolution. Emotional attunement to others depends on emotional awareness within oneself. Without this, understanding and responding to a partner's emotions is severely limited. Teal explains that men must first reclaim and integrate their emotional selves to facilitate deeper, more authentic relationships. The discussion addresses the complexity of relational conflicts, especially around breaches of trust and vulnerability. Teal explains that surface conflicts often mask deeper emotional stories, such as insecurities about being valued or fears of abandonment that require patient unraveling. For men trying to rebuild trust after breaking it, consistent long-term demonstrations of reliability and integrity are essential, with clear acknowledgement that trust must be earned, not demanded. Patterns across generations reveal that older generations, boomers, Gen X, tend to stay in relationships too long out of duty or stubbornness despite unhappiness, whereas younger generations, millennials and below, often exit relationships prematurely, sometimes before working through difficulties. This pendulum swing reflects shifting cultural norms and trauma histories, illustrating the challenge for any generation to navigate relationship longevity versus health. The conversation explores the intersection of sexuality and emotional fulfillment, focusing on the widespread appeal of power dynamics as exemplified by the cultural phenomenon of 50 Shades of Grey. This narrative is unpacked as a modern retelling of the Beauty and the Beast archetype, where women are drawn to masculinity's raw, animalistic power combined with vulnerability and protection. Sexual expression becomes a lens through which deep emotional needs are played out, often linked to childhood traumas and the desire for safety and validation. Teal and Aubrey also discuss the kink community's unique role in providing highly intentional, communicative, and safe containers for exploring power dynamics. For many, kink relationships offer radical transparency, clear boundaries, and emotional attunement, making them effective spaces for healing developmental trauma and expressing parts of themselves safely. The empathy, negotiation, and authenticity required in these dynamics are often far more evolved than in conventional relationships. The dialogue addresses how couples navigate mismatches in sexual and emotional needs, particularly when monogamy limits the fulfillment of those needs. While monogamy remains the default cultural model, it often fails those whose desires or emotional templates differ. Polyamory and consensual non-monogamy are discussed as potential solutions, though with acknowledgement of challenges such as jealousy and ingrained social conditioning. The ideal envisioned is one where individuals can meet their deepest needs freely and respectfully without harming the core relationship, though such dynamics require exceptional communication and trust. Both speakers note a regrettable recent cultural swing towards conservatism and rigidity, including within liberal and spiritual circles, which often manifest as hostility toward alternative relationship structures and expressions of masculinity. This backlash revives old binaries and denies the fluidity and complexity of human desires and identities, creating barriers against openness, innovation, and honest dialogue in the realms of gender, sexuality, and power. Teal shares insights about the costs and gifts of public vulnerability. Both she and Aubrey have faced intense scrutiny when revealing personal truths, yet they underscore transparency as a path to authentic connection and deeper understanding. While the exposure involves pain and misunderstanding, the capacity for suffering to tenderize and deepen relational accessibility is acknowledged as one of the most profound gifts trauma can offer. Throughout the conversation, the importance of authentic modeling is highlighted, whether in parenting, relationships, or communities. Children do not learn from abstract teaching, but from living examples of radical, outrageous love, mutual respect, and effective conflict resolution. This modeling is positioned as critical to breaking cycles of dysfunction and shaping healthier relational futures. The final threads weave through the challenges related to balance and polarity. The importance of recognizing natural polarity rather than forcing individuals to master both masculine and feminine equally is discussed. Flexibility is valued, but so is the understanding of one's core energetic orientation. Healthy relationships emerge not from perfect balance within each person, but from interplay and complementarity between partners, each inhabiting their authentic expression while attuned to the others. Teal mentions her e-course created specifically to help men master healthy masculinity within relationships. The course addresses these complex themes and aims to guide men toward being the dependable, understanding, and responsible king that women long for and trust. The program is positioned as a practical tool in the broader mission to restore balance and authenticity in male-female dynamics.